Greetings and salutations, beautiful people. Happy Monday morning in my world. Everything awesome here, and welcome to 321 No Kiddin. We will get started this morning with our little passage from the inspiration calendar. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. This definitely applies to our recovery journey, right? Got to start somewhere. That one step will lead to many more miles if we do the right things and practice and move forward instead of thinking about the 1,000 miles and getting overwhelmed. This also reminds me of college. When I was an adult learner, it was like, how do I, where do I start? I can only do one class a semester, blah, blah, blah. Well, all of a sudden, 1 year passes and 3 classes are done, and 2 year passes and 6 classes are done. And what ends up happening is you get closer to your degree, even though you're only doing it 1 class at a time, as opposed to every year looking in the mirror going, oh, I should have taken 1 class. I'd be 1 class closer. So it applies in both situations. That's just the example that I could remember consciously thinking about when I made those decisions. Of course, now I've dropped out of my last degree program, but I feel really good about that, actually. I'm learning more in the real world and in my online learning communities. It's just my personal strategy, and it's what's making me happy. Okay. So for February 15th in the Body, Mind, and Spirit book, here we go. Be honest with the man in the mirror. We may find it easy to criticize another, to find fault in him or her. No. I swear it's the punctuation. We may find it easy to criticize another, to fault in him or her what we despise in ourselves. It takes so little effort to take another's inventory. Yet, when we turn on the magnifying glass on ourselves, our vision blurs. We're blinded by anxiety. For a long time, chemicals blurred our vision, chemicals or gambling. We were incapable of honesty and perhaps felt no desire to learn or change anything about ourselves. Now we are asked to get spiritual, to get honest, to look at ourselves, to focus on the changes we need to make, and to leave others to their own keeping. We can only change ourselves. Recovery asks that we acknowledge our shortcomings and pray for the courage to change the things we can. More than enough self-work lies ahead, enough to preclude our working on others. It's important that we be real, that we not strive to be someone else. This is where the serenity to accept ourselves will come from. Today, help me tend my own garden and let others tend to theirs. Okay, so I will admit, 2 nights ago when I couldn't sleep, I fell down the Bachelor rabbit hole. And I don't know, I'm 3 or 4 episodes in, and it's very interesting because now I get it. They edit it to show what they want to show. But there are some blatant mean girls on this show. And as I'm watching them, I'm thinking to myself, like, how are you letting these girls get away with it? Because it was definitely bullying. And then I'm watching the other people in the group that aren't specifically the mean girls per se. And they're kind of meek and maybe trying to step in and help, but not really standing up for the girls that are getting bullied. And the thoughts that were going through my head were things like, oh, this is that pack concept. I think in one of my psychology classes, we learned that, when you're in a group, people go along with the group, the energy of the group, instead of being the person who stands up for other people or stands up for the right thing instead of the wrong thing. And one of the situations was that one of the girls started spreading rumors about another girl that could hurt her. And the reason I'm sharing this in the context of this reading is when The Bachelor, and I'll give him a lot of credit, he was a very classy guy. When he found out that this stuff was going on, he addressed it and he basically kicked the mean girls out. I don't think he knows how many more. There's still some more, but it's what he knew about, he addressed. And I love that he did that. And one of the statements he made was something to the effect of, if you need to talk about other people or diminish other people, and you think that that's what's going to make me fall in love with you, because you're not keeping to your own garden, that it totally backfired. So he was basically telling people to stop bullying, but it also is stay in your lane, mind your business. If you're being your best self and not getting caught up in shit like gossip and being mean and all those things, then you're going to be rewarded in your own individual way, in your own scenario. But we can't do that. We can't always act our best unless we know that we aren't acting our best. We need to be able to look in the mirror and really be honest with ourselves. And I'll tell you, I was thinking about this too this morning. I found out a secret over the weekend, something that just blew my mind. It's not any of my business, and the person who has the secret didn't tell me. And there's a part of me that's thinking, oh my God, so-and-so would be shocked by this too, but it's not my place to tell so-and-so. So I'm just letting it sit there. And the person who told me, when she was telling me, she goes, yeah, I was hurt at first because this person didn't share their secret with me. And I was listening. I was so shocked by the news that I was just listening and then hearing her feelings and whatever, that I didn't really digest it at first. But now that I've sat with it a little bit, now my feelings are kind of hurt. I was like, well, wow, why didn't she trust me with her secret? But then I reflected and thought back to many nights that we've had out where I was drinking, or I was old Bobby who was in other people's business, and I don't know, gossiped, because I really generally didn't like to talk about things unless I knew they were true. But I definitely have not only focused on myself. I wouldn't say I was a mean girl, but I definitely was not someone who I would probably look to first to trust with the secret. So I actually gave the whole situation some grace, and I'm like, my feelings shouldn't be hurt. She probably couldn't trust me to keep her secret. If I drank enough Long Island iced teas, I don't know that anybody should trust me to keep their secrets. So it was interesting to reflect back on that today. I don't want to be a person that can't be trusted. And how I show up in the world and whose secrets I keep and the way that I act every day to make myself feel better and to be better is important, and how it trickles over to other people will be noticed. I mean, if that's what it's about for you, is other people noticing. That's not why I do it for me. I do it because if I do something wrong, I feel it in my gut. Like, it feels very icky. I've told you the story of sending the evil text and that being part of why I was afraid to drink again, that being a pretty harsh thing. I've told you about going off on somebody in group. Those are the two most vivid ones that I have, because it's the most, destructive behavior that I think I've exhibited really the last couple of years. And it just makes me sick. Like, after I sent that text, it was probably 3 weeks before I apologized. And I wanted to apologize right away, kind of. I mean, I still don't think I was wrong about what I said. It was the delivery that I said it. But even if it was about being right or wrong, I didn't necessarily need to do that. I mean, I kind of did to move through it. And my counselor was like, yeah, you needed to say the things that were on your mind. In both situations, 2 different counselors told me that. So that kind of helps lessen the guilt, and I can't take it back anyway. All I can do is try to be better in the future, which is what I try to do. I'm not going to be mean to either one of these people because it hurts my stomach. Like, it just does not make me feel good and doesn't be who I want to be. So when we're paying attention to other people, and actually that's kind of what it was in both cases. I was telling them what they did wrong. I was taking their inventory. And not that it's an excuse, but prior to the evil text message, for example, I had really taken any issue or miscommunication or anything, and I really did try to take it from my recovery perspective. And I would own it. How could I change in this situation? How could I do better? How can I be a better person, better partner in these situations? And I'd carry that. And then to find out that I was betrayed, that's what set it off, was like I was lied to. Then it was like, wait a minute. So I've been taking all this responsibility and it was really you lying all along. Like, that was the trigger. It doesn't make it right. But I will tell you that I was trying to work through my own actions and make sure that, I wasn't being too naggy or too, I don't know, whatever things I could have been. I always carried the weight of that. I'm not condoning what I did. And like I said, I think it was part of healing. I'm just kind of expressing how telling other people about their own actions and stuff just it's not a good way to take care of your own business. And I'm sure if you're anything like me, you have enough of your own shit and problems. You really don't need to go fixing everybody else's if you really spend the time looking in the mirror. And I believe that if we do the digging, if we find out, first we have to identify, like, what are our speed bumps? What is making us act the way we do, or what is causing these feelings? If we do some of that digging, it's like it's working on emptying out your bucket. And I think you'd be surprised to find the more reflection you do, you may start healing old wounds or cleaning up some of the stuff that you need to clean up. So if you were still, all right, let me use my example. Let's say I was still acting like a jerk to the guy I sent the evil text to. First of all, I would not feel very good. And I probably, I'm trying to think how to explain this best. So if I stayed in evil mode or made it all about his actions, my energy would be on that. And I wouldn't have done my healing or growing during the time that I was silent with him. And if I'm really struggling to explain this, I know what I want to say to you. If I had spent all that time beating him up or talking about what he did, I would not be looking at what did I do or how to move to the next level of life with all the things I had to address. And I had my own stuff to address, so I didn't need to be trying to fix him. I mean, 2020 was a shit show in some cases, circumstance. So if I was wrapped up in trying to take care of someone else's character defects instead of paying attention to mine, I'm not sure that last year would have been as successful as it was for me. And by successful, I mean the healing, the self-awareness, those kinds of things, the really making self-care a focus, not anything to do with job or life or any of that, but the success of trying to be a good human and move forward and take care of the crap that needs to be taken care of and addressed. So that was the moral of the story. If I spent time and bad energy on that situation, I'm not sure I would have achieved all that. The other thing is, and this is the person who hurt me the most in the world. Like, I can't even imagine ever being hurt like this again, I won't allow it for starters. But I am now at the point where I don't want to say I'm indifferent, but it's healed. I don't want to say it's like it never happened, but if you think about like a regular, I'll call it a boo-boo heals, when it first happens, it's very raw and sensitive, and then through time it scabs, and it's like, okay, this will still, it's tender, but I can survive. And eventually it turns into a scar. So the scar is still there, but I'm not as tender to anything he says and does like I was back before. And it's making for a better quality of life where we can communicate amicably and live our lives separate and fine, and it's good. So I didn't end up losing a friend through it. I ended up landing where I needed to. And quite honestly, if I ended up with him, things would be very different than right now. And I'm very happy with the way they are right now. So I guess I'm kind of glad it didn't work out. Anyway, do your own work. Look at your own stuff. And you don't have to solve it all in one day, right? Going back to our motivational calendar, start with single steps. I think the first thing is just kind of to be honest with yourself. Listen to those voices in your head. If you say or do something where you're like, did I really want to do that? And that's what the step work is. Step 4 being us taking notice of what our shortcomings are and taking inventory. And then as we progress through the steps, step 10 is really kind of dialing into those things that we wanted to work on about ourselves. And if we do owe an apology or need to fix something, we do it a little bit more quickly than before we did our step work or before we took care of step 4. So those are the thoughts. So stay in your own garden, your own lane, whatever you want to call it, but do the work on you. And the benefit, even though it won't be maybe immediate, maybe you won't even see it for a little bit, but it will come. Like I said, using my example, it's been well over a year, and I definitely know that the outcome was the best it could be or the way it should be, and I'm happy about that. I didn't feel that in the moment, and you're not going to feel it in your moments either, but it is worth it when you get to the other side of all that. So, all right, beautiful people, have a fabulous day. I will chat with you tomorrow.